Manx Radio's Update with Beth Espy.
First, good evening. It's Friday. Apparently, Storm Bert is on his way. So as part of your 30-minute news roundup this evening, we'll take a look at how the weather's shaping up for the weekend and whether you might want to tether down that outside furniture you probably didn't use over the summer. Also tonight, we'll have more on the banned MGP rider who's been told his race licence is now going to be reinstated. And do you think government is neglecting its tourism sector? All that and much more on the programme. And as ever, if you'd like to get in touch, we'd love to hear from you. You can text 166 177 or email studio@manxradio.com. We'll start with a roundup of today's main news headlines with Lewis Fastamai.
The mountain road is back open once again, but police are warning people to drive carefully as the weather deteriorates. The Isle of Man is bracing itself for the arrival of Storm Bert, with a yellow weather warning for severe gales and heavy rain on the way. Police have confirmed a 59-year-old man involved in a road traffic collision on the Ballymode Strait earlier this week has died. James Errol Tarsin was transferred to a UK hospital following the two-vehicle incident on Wednesday morning, but died as a result of his injuries. Another drop-in session has been held in Castletown for residents to hear more about the Department of Infrastructure's Living Streets initiative. This is how some people reacted.
Well, I'm not really sure what the plans are because they haven't really told us.
I don't know what they're trying to do. There's nothing broken. Why do you want to fix it?
The DOI is considering making some roads one-way, improving on-road parking and making it easier for people to walk, wheel and cycle. Braddon Commissioners has confirmed work on the Roundhouse Access Road should be completed by the 12th of December. It's been the subject of a dispute between the Commissioners and the Department of Health and Social Care over the last year and is going to cost the local authority £230,000. And tonight, sailing to Heysham will go ahead despite earlier doubts due to the weather. The Manxman will depart Douglas at the earlier time of 7 o'clock. In the latest international news, Gatwick Airport's South Terminal has reopened after a security alert closed it to passengers for several hours. Security guards found a suspected prohibited item in luggage just after 8 o'clock this morning. Greater Manchester Police are reappealing for help to find the mother of a baby found dead in Salford on Wednesday. It's thought the body may have been hidden in undergrowth. A post-mortem's due to be held next week. And a judge in New York has granted Donald Trump permission to seek the dismissal of his hush money case. Prosecutors have asked for proceedings to be postponed until after his 4-year presidential term in 2029. Those are the headlines. I'll be back with the news at 6 o'clock.
Thank you very much indeed, Lewis. Now the weather brought to you by Manx Glass and Glazing. We'll go into a bit more detail in a moment, but just to give you an idea of what's happening, we have got a yellow weather warning for severe gales and heavy rain. That comes into force from 5 tomorrow morning. It's in until 3 tomorrow afternoon. And basically that's for gales, severe gale southeast winds, and they could be gusts of around 60 to 70 miles per hour, possibly in some places. So we are expecting damage to trees. There might be minor structural damage as well. And as I say, we'll go into that in more detail in a moment. But for this evening, it's actually going to be largely dry. The cloud will increase ahead of persistent and mostly heavy rain, which will arrive overnight. The winds are going to be quite light this evening, so that's the calm before the storm, isn't it? They'll back south early tonight, and then they will increase to gale or severe gale force. Minimum temperatures overnight will be around 4. We know it's going to be really windy tomorrow morning. It will ease slightly during the afternoon. Still pretty strong, though, and it could still be gale force as well. The persistent and mostly heavy rain will turn lighter and patchier tomorrow afternoon, and it will clear overnight. And actually, it's going to be so much warmer tomorrow. Temperatures will be around 14. Sunset this evening, 7 minutes past 4. Sunrise tomorrow morning, 2 minutes past 8.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
TE Carbon provide new memorial stones, grave renovations, new inscriptions ovens and fire hearths. Visit us at Hope Street, Castletown, or at Broadway, Douglas, or call 844 440. TE Cubban, here when you need us.
Most builders start with a hammer and saw. Manx Construction start with ideas and imagination. For new build, extension or home office, Manx Construction offer full service from planning to completion. Call Tony on 452 688.
We all need peace of mind. That's where Peace of Mind Manx Will Writing Services can help you. From just £149 plus VAT. Call 671 001 or go to peaceofmind.co.im.
At Bond Fabrics, we're not just a fabric shop. As well as curtains and upholstery and dress and costume fabrics, we've knitting and crocheting wools, made-to-measure curtain and blind service, plus poles and tracks. Visit Strand Street, Douglas, call 611856 or see bondfabrics.im.
You're listening to Update here on Manx Radio, 5.5 minutes past 5. So, Storm Bert, who names them? I love it, is heading our way tonight. The island is bracing for impact. We've just heard that yellow weather warning has been issued for severe gales and heavy rain tomorrow, coming into force at 5 in the morning, remaining in place until 3 tomorrow. Our Bert expert, Siobhan Fletcher, is with me now in the studio. So, Siobhan, what are we expecting?
Well, the Ronaldsway Met Office is warning that gusts of 50 to 60 miles per hour will occur in most places, with 60 to 70 miles per hour possible in a few. Those winds are going to ease later in the morning tomorrow, but they'll remain strong to gale force right through until Monday. Also, persistent and heavy rain will arrive overnight tonight at about 3 or 4 a.m. That'll last through the morning into the afternoon tomorrow. Localised flooding is likely where drains are blocked, and with the winds there will be difficult driving conditions for several hours. And that combination of weather events could cause other issues across the island, as forecaster Kirsty Pendlebury explains.
Yeah, obviously a bit of a bad combination really, especially when we've not had as much wind recently. But if there are still leaves on the trees, obviously the trees are going to blow around a bit more with those stronger winds as well as knocking the leaves off could cause some of the drains to get blocked. So do just keep an eye on those drains. We are going to see, like I say, quite a lot of rain in a relatively short period of time, from about 3 or 4 in the morning tomorrow through until certainly lunchtime into the early afternoon. It gradually starts to become lighter from then on, but it's certainly going to be a very wet start to the day, and also a bit of coastal overtopping as well possible for Douglas Promenade during the day tomorrow. And obviously there's now parking on there, so do take care if you're planning on parking in coastal areas tomorrow or through the weekend. To be honest, it's going to be pretty windy.
That is Kirsty from the Ronaldsway Met Office there. And Siobhan, as Kirsty mentioned, parking on Douglas Prom. What are we expecting travel-wise to be impacted?
Well, the steam packet is also warning of possible disruption to sailings throughout until next week. It's brought forward tonight's Manxman sailing to Heysham due to the forecast adverse weather. The 7:45pm crossing will now leave Douglas at 7, with passengers asked to check in no later than 6:15 this evening. Meanwhile, the overnight return, scheduled for 2:15am, will now leave at 1:45. Passengers are asked to check in for that no later than 5 past midnight. There are also question marks over each sailing from tonight until early Tuesday morning due to those severe gales associated with Storm Bert. Meanwhile, if you're due to fly this weekend, Loganair is offering those due to fly with them the opportunity to adjust their travel plans without charge. They say they are planning on flying all of their scheduled services and nothing is cancelled yet, but you can choose to rebook on an alternative flight up to 7 days from your original travel date.
There is details about that on the Manx Radio Facebook page. I've seen a post on social media from the Civil Defence. They're always brilliant in situations like this, just giving some general advice. What do we know, Siobhan, about how the island then is generally preparing for this?
Well, the mountain road, which remained closed following a lot of wintry showers throughout this week, is currently open, but police have asked drivers to take care if they're using that route. Meanwhile, the Department of Infrastructure says additional highway services teams will be on standby this weekend to respond to any weather-related incidents. It says its control room will also be open in support of its duty officer to better respond to calls for assistance from the public. It's asking people to report any issues on the roads that need immediate response by calling 672 000. And the Department of Environment, Food and Agriculture is strongly advising against going to and exercising caution if you're planning on using the forests and glens this weekend. It says combined with the heavy rains, the incoming winds could cause some damage to trees. Its team will be carrying out routine inspections in the following days to check that its most popular routes are unaffected.
Siobhan, thank you very much. And of course, I should have called you an ex-Bert, as somebody just suggested there. What a shame I didn't think of it myself. Do stay tuned to Manx Radio, though. As ever, we will bring you all the very latest with regards to the weather and any disruption it might be causing. And if there's anything you can let us know about as well, we really do appreciate that. 166 177 studio@manxradio.com. And you can also keep up to date on our social media pages. We will have a post that's pinned to the top of our Facebook page, for example, where all details will be on there, so you can know exactly what's going on. It is 5:10. Now, a rider banned from this year's Manx Grand Prix says he's been told he'll get his racing licence back, having spent the past few months fighting to prove his innocence. Alex Sinclair has been locked in talks with the Autocycle Union Limited and has undertaken independent testing since he was excluded in August for returning a positive result for a recreational drug.
So last going off, I'd had my negative hair test sample, so that got sent to the ACU. They tried to argue it with a few emails back and forth. So with some emails back and forth, we suggested they got their own hair sample, which they have. They've took a while to get back to us on the results from that. We had our own hair sample tested and that come back negative. We've had no confirmation of the results from them. Long story short, they pretty much turned around and said that they're going to give me my license back. I'm still a bit baffled by the situation. You know, and not just me, you know, my team, my parents, my sponsor. It's been very, very stressful and upsetting. Even though I've got my licence back, it doesn't feel like it's resolved.
In the letter from the Autocycle Union, it says they are more than willing, in their words, to give you your licence back, and following reviewing your situation, that they will look to take a different approach to testing going forward. What do you make of that? I
100% agree with it. They need to do something 100% through the board for everyone. On the email they've sent to say I can have my license back. Like I said, they tried saying that I didn't protest the test over there, which I did. I am 100% against the drug taking in any shape or form, especially in motorsport or on the Isle of Man. So I'm 100% with them on they need to technically buck their ideas up on the system.
That is Alex Sinclair speaking to us after it was revealed he will get his racing licence back. Now, our sports editor, Rob Pritchard, has been following this story. And Rob, you have been in touch with the ACU as well.
We have indeed. You just heard there from Mr Sinclair that there was email correspondence between his team and the ACU regarding this situation. We do in fact have that email correspondence. It has been seen by Manx Radio and it's been attributed to ACU Secretary General Matthew Edwards-Weir. It is quite lengthy, but I will read it out in full just to give a bit more perspective on the ACU side of things. It reads as follows. As part of the ACU's commitment to ensuring a safe and fair environment for all competitors, drug testing is a necessary and integral part of our regulations. The ACU must adhere to the highest standards of safety, and part of this responsibility includes ensuring that no competitor gains an unfair advantage through prohibited substances. When a rider's results fall outside the accepted parameters, the suspension of a licence is required to protect the integrity of the sport and the safety of all involved. In the case of Mr Sinclair, the decision to suspend his licence was made following the results of his drug test. I would like to clarify that Mr Sinclair was not singled out. We have clear established procedures in place that apply to all competitors equally. Our goal is always to maintain a fair and competitive environment where every rider's well-being is prioritised. Following a review of the test process used for Mr Sinclair's testing, we acknowledge the concerns raised regarding the procedures in place at that venue. As a result, we have decided to use a different form of testing moving forward to ensure that the testing process is as reliable and accurate as possible. It goes on to add, in circumstances where test results are contested or where further investigation is deemed necessary, we would typically conduct additional tests. However, Mr Sinclair did not raise any concerns with us about the testing procedure at the time, and had he done so, we would have taken taken the appropriate action to investigate further. In the interest of fairness and resolution, we are more than willing to reinstate Mr Sinclair's licence. We also understand the inconvenience this situation may have caused, and as such, we are happy to bear the cost of the test Mr Sinclair took to remedy this issue. We remain committed to ensuring the safety and integrity of the sport, and we will continue to work closely with our sponsors and competitors to maintain the highest standards of fairness and transparency. So that is the email correspondence from the ACU to Mr Sinclair's team this week. Additionally, Manx Radio has approached ACU directly for further comment and is awaiting a response. And we've since had an update this afternoon that we do understand the ACU will be releasing its own statement on the matter in the coming days. Once we do have that information, we will bring that to you as soon as possible. And just on a final note, Mr Sinclair wanted to place on the record thanking Mr Edwards-Weir in particular for how, in his words, professionally the matter has been dealt with to this point.
Rob, thank you very much indeed. This is a story you can see more about on the Manx Radio Facebook page and website, and also our motorsport page as well. Understandably, a lot of comment about this today, so if you'd like to share your thoughts, that's the place to go. It is 5:15. The Northern Chamber of Commerce has renewed calls for the Department of Infrastructure to reconsider its planned mountain road closures, warning of the potential impact on local businesses. Now, as we reported earlier this week, up to 8 closures are scheduled for surveying works throughout December, which the Chamber says will disrupt trade in the busy lead up to Christmas. The chair, Keith Dalrymple, says the news has come as something of a blow.
The retail sector have told us, and this is not new, that the little increase in takings during December on the run up to Christmas, they're the things that keep them afloat, keeps the spirits up and keeps the cash flow positive. Part of the big picture debate, we're constantly hearing in so many areas about action required to address mental health issues, well-being, whatever. Well, there's nothing more distressing for a small business holder than wondering whether they can sustain their business, whether their livelihood is going to be there the following week. That's hugely stressful. This is all part of the debate that's been going on. This has come as a blow. A few days closure may not appear to be the end of the world, but it could be the end of a business or two. It follows hard on the heels of announcements about bank closures and restricted times for banking and lots of other serious matters which do impact upon the well-being of people running small businesses. There are problems. Government, locally and centrally, is fully aware of commercial problems and economic situation. There is no single solution to them, but working together could help. The one thing that we can avoid is own goals. It's really just another concern, another blow for people who literally are battling to stay in business.
That is Chair of the Northern Chamber of Commerce, Keith Dalrymple, just voicing those concerns that we talked about earlier on this programme earlier this week. And when we did talk about it earlier this week, we did say that we contacted the DOI for a response directly. They then posted a response on their social media page. You can find all the details about that at manxradio.com.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
So the main thing this afternoon, the Mountain Road is open again, so that's good news. Do take care if you're out and about on the roads this evening. If you're in Ramsey, just be aware there's the Christmas light switch on, so there are restrictions to traffic on Parliament Square. In Peel, though, some good news. All that work on Christian Street is finished, so Derby Road and Mona Street are both one way again, and the car park on Christian Street has now reopened. As we know, the main thing, though, is looking ahead to what's going to happen when Storm Bert lands here tomorrow. All okay down at the airport this evening, just a little bit of a delay on the Manchester flight, but it's a steam packet that's really preparing itself for potential issues. We know tonight's sailing to Heysham is leaving 45 minutes earlier at 7 p.m, and there is possible disruption forecast for the sailings from tomorrow morning. Do stay tuned to Manx Radio. Also, the steam packet really helpfully have got their WhatsApp group now, so you can sign up to that, and that will give you the very latest updates. As ever, if you can let us know about anything, 166 177, or you can email studio@manxradio.com.
Quayside Tyres and Service Centre with 1 year's free engine warranty from Castrol. Get more with
It is 19 minutes past 5. Do you think government is neglecting the tourism sector? Well, One Douglas Hotel is concerned the Isle of Man's at risk of losing its character if more isn't done to protect local businesses. Now, this comes after the Tavia Group agreed a 30-year lease for Travelodge to open a branch in the Villiers Square development. The Welbeck is a family-run business that's been operating here for 46 years. Lucy George is the manager and first gives us her reaction to the Travelodge news.
Initially, I said, why? Where are the guests? Where are the staff? How are we going to fill their beds when we can't even fill ours? How is that going to happen? But I have had time to reflect since then, of course. There will hopefully be more visibility to the island if the Travelodge advertises they have more coverage, and it'll mean the infrastructure has to be maintained, so we have to ensure volume for the Manx National Heritage sites and the rail and the horse trams to keep them viable, as well as restaurants and privately run attractions. But there is a danger of having so many hotel beds with low occupancy for so much of the year, and adding hotels will just take away occupancy from what is already here. So there are pros and cons, and people are saying about people wanting cheaper and modern, which is fair, but we also offer cheaper rates. But because of the lack of tourism over the last few years and COVID and Brexit and other things, we've just not been able to update and maintain the other things. We've had to focus on what needs to be done rather than what we want to do. So it's a bit hurtful to know that people don't see it in that way, and they don't see the smaller hotels as valuable, and they think a newer, cheaper version is going to be any better. You've got to look around at the smaller hotels. All of these hotels, we've all been working for so long, so hard. We are dedicated to tourism, and we just wish that the government could take a leaf out of our books and see they're dedicated to bringing people over and giving people a great time. And the fact that we still have these family-run places, and there's only a few of us left, don't let us be lost in these commercial businesses. Don't let it happen, because you're going to lose the character and the personality of the Isle of Man.
That is Lucy George from the Welbeck Hotel. And we got in touch with Lucy because she commented on one of our stories on the Facebook page after we found out that Travelodge was going to open a branch in the Villiers Square development. They've agreed a 30-year lease for that. You can hear the whole interview with Lucy. There's much more to that discussion in the newscast section of the Manx Radio website. And in relation to any of the points which Lucy raises during that interview regarding government and the steam packet company, we have invited both of them to respond. 22 minutes, just about past 5. Just thinking about the weather again this weekend. And I mentioned civil defence before, but they posted something really useful on their Facebook page, just some advice about what to do in advance of the weather that we are expecting, especially if you're concerned about your property and flooding. They say today's the day to check your drains, make sure any heavy downpours of rain have somewhere to go, secure any loose items in your garden, and really crucially, we talked about this before, didn't we? Think about where you're parking if you're doing your Christmas shopping. There might be some coastal overtopping on exposed promenades. If you're out walking, they say, make sure you check the forecast, as wind speeds are going to be pretty tricky on the hills. And finally, if you're in need of any sandbags, they are available from the Civil Defence headquarters at Tremode. So a great bunch of volunteers of Civil Defence. They are always out and about keeping everyone safe, particularly in weather like this. Now, the reintroduction of the Classic TT is expected to cost the Department for Enterprise an extra £300,000 every year. This figure was revealed by the Enterprise Minister Tim Johnston in a written response to a Turnbull question from the Ramsey MHK Laurie Hooper on the estimated cost and economic benefits of the event. Rob Pritchard, once again, has the details.
Government hopes the meeting, which will run alongside the Manx Grand Prix from August 2025, will see visitor numbers for it return to the same level or higher than they were pre-pandemic. However, Mr Johnston adds the true economic potential of the event will only become clear after the event has run for the full 3-year commitment. Last month it was announced the Classic TT would be returning alongside the MGP for next year in a combined meeting across an expanded period of 12 days. Responding to Mr Hooper's query, the Minister says the decision to reintroduce the Classic TT is aimed at improving the economic contribution of Ireland motorsport events and reversing declining numbers for the August meetings. Furthermore, DfE believes the Classic event event can leverage the Isle of Man TT's global audience and capitalise on the enhanced media and PR opportunities linked to the TT brand. Whilst acknowledging the extra £300,000 annual cost of running it, Mr Johnston believes the investment is expected to generate increased commercial income through sponsorship and licensing linked to the TT. When it came to the target for visitor numbers, the goal for officials is to return to or exceed pre-pandemic levels, which the Minister says peaked at over 16,000 in 2019. Initial DFE estimates believe achieving a minimum of 2,000 extra visitors would meet this objective based on average visitor spend levels.
Rob Pritchard reporting. And now, Rob Pritchard reporting.
Indeed. First tonight with regards to sport, the top two sides in both the Canada Life Men's Premier League and Ardern and Drug Unlimited Division 2 are on their travels in Manx football this weekend, hoping to keep up their current momentum. Top flight leaders Ayr United, who dropped points again last week in a 3-3 draw at Ramsey, go to Laxey, whilst Peel in second, now just 3 points behind Ayr, head to St John's United. It's a similar story in the second tier as just 3 points separate Division 2 leaders, Douglas High School Old Boys at the top and Braddon in second. Old Boys are away at Douglas Royal, whilst Braddon visit Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. You can see details of all this weekend's scheduled matches at manxradio.com. In rugby, Southern Nomads are just one step away from reaching the Cheshire Bowl final as they form part of another busy Manx rugby schedule on Saturday. Nomads travel to Aldershot knowing that taking a point or more from their trip will see them into the final, but will be wary that Aldershot could snatch it from them if they're victorious. Elsewhere, Douglas will be targeting a fourth straight home win in the Regional 2 North West when they host Eccles at Portashire at 1:30 tomorrow. Vagabonds ladies are also returning to action after a week off in women's NC2 North South. They'll be hoping to take something from a trip to Littleborough. There were due to be competitive games for Vagabonds men and Ramsey as well. However, Vagabonds Counties 3 ADM Lancs Cheshire match against Old Bedians has been expunged due to Old Bedians withdrawing from the league. Ramsey were due to face Wallasey in the Cheshire Vars, but Wallasey have already conceded the match earlier this week due to lack of player availability. But the northern side will still get some valuable game time off island tomorrow. They've organised a friendly with Wigan Seconds. That kicks off tomorrow at 1:30. And finally, 2 league titles, including the Mixed Premier League, are still to be decided on the final league weekend of the 2024 mixed hockey season tomorrow. The top 2 contenders in the Mixed Premier League, the leaders Backers A and second place Vikings A, face off in one big showdown for the trophy at the NSC at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Meanwhile, no less than 3 teams, Castletown Cosney, Vikings E and Backers D, are all still in with a chance of snatching the Mixed Division 3 crown. You can find details of all tomorrow's hockey fixtures on our website.
Rob, thank you very much indeed. That is pretty much all from Update this evening. Thank you so much for your company. Lots to come though. Stay tuned over the next few hours here on Manx Radio, kicking off. Get it? No, never mind. With Rob and the Friday Sport preview. So he's got all that coming up, details of what's happening, hopefully all being well. If we keep our fingers crossed for the weather, that will be all the news about what's happening this weekend. Chris Kinley is then here from 6:30 with Greatest Hits. Then at 9, it's H with Sweet and Swing. And then time to cut your hair into a pair of curtains, don that shell suit, just in time for Nick Holt's 90s playlist from 10 p.m. As ever, do go to the Manx Radio website. There's much more on all tonight's top stories on our Facebook page as well, all the details of our stories, and you can also share your thoughts and take a look at the Love Manx Shop Local campaign. They've just launched this campaign in time for the Christmas shopping. Lots of ideas in there about how you can support local producers. Have a great weekend. Do stay safe if you're out and about, and we'll be back with you with Update from 5 p.m. on Monday.